the 11th day of the month of February 2025. Welcome to it. You are tuning into the NewsDesk. It's always a great pleasure to be in your company as we divulge on everything that is breaking news and fresh views, right? Even tonight, it's no different. We are going to be going into the lead segment as we try to make sense of it all. As we all know that, we'll be speaking to Lucy from CANSA South Africa to try to unpack the state of cancer awareness even in 2025 as we try to make sense of it all. Last week, Tuesday, what we know of is that we were celebrating World Cancer Day. So she's going to be joining us in a short while at around 8 o'clock as we try to make sense of it all as we answer the question, what progress has been made and what challenges still remain even in 2025. And then later on, I'll be joined by our very own sports editor, Kgothatso Mashau, as we are going to be breaking down all the biggest stories in the world of sports. Taking a look at what happened this past weekend. Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns going into a clash there, going to give you all the analysis there as well as other stories that have been making news headlines when it comes to the world of sports. Plenty on the go for us to discuss this evening. Don't forget that we are asking you a poll question because we want to find out from you. Love hearing from you. The poll question that I'm asking you today has to be about something that is around the Internet Safety Day. As you can see there, how do we think or how can we create a safer internet for everyone? We have 4 options there. Stronger online privacy is the first option. More digital literacy education, the second option. Stricter social media regulations becomes your third option. And also personal responsibility and awareness becomes your fourth option there. However you view it, go into all our social media platforms and make sure that you do engage with that poll question. I'll bring you those results just before we end up and wrap up today's show. Don't forget to bring on and invite everyone that needs to be part of this conversation. That is the Tuesday edition of the NewsDesk, a plenty packed show for you. Stay with us as we engage in that conversation because the NewsDesk, the Tuesday edition, begins now. Indeed, reporting live from Johannesburg, Soweto, I am Kagiso Sithole. It's always a great pleasure to be in your company. Let's begin with the big stories that are making our top stories headlines. It definitely has to be Duduzile, who is the daughter of former President Jacob Zuma. Just when we thought that South African politics couldn't get any more dramatic, MK Party is now at war with itself. As we all know that the Twitter streets were roaming around, Twitter formerly known as X, X formerly known as Twitter. We know that, Duduzile was lashing out at the Secretary General of the party, Floyd Shibambu. This comes after the MK Party finding itself when Duduzile Zuma-Sambudla comes after attacking, the Secretary General on Monday evening, so showing a lot of remarks on social media in different tweets that were other in some very cultural and very colorful language that was sent out there. One of the tweets that she sent out was definitely talking about that Floyd Shibambu is very useless to the party. He says that go touch yourself then, Floyd. And then she also reiterated some of the parts that Floyd has been clearly the worst thing that has ever happened to the party. She also said that she didn't go there using very colorful language and making it clear that she has zero respect for Floyd Shibambu, but the party came out to saying that she definitely needs to come out and send out an apology to Floyd Shibambu or she could face a suspension. This comes after the MK Party took out a letter, and funny enough about this letter is that this letter also has the father's name on it. So we wonder and we ask ourselves that was this a plot twist that they were trying to reiterate amongst themselves. But in a statement that they took out, it says that I'm writing to express my deep concerns and disappointment regarding the performance and behavior of the Secretary General Floyd Shibambu. Unfortunately, I've come to the realization that he is not fit for office. The reasons for my complaint are as follows: the lack of leadership, incompetence and unprofessional conduct as well as failure to uphold organizational values, right? This is some of the remarks that she was sending out, to saying that Floyd is actually something that is not seen within the party politics. Some other remarks that she made on social media around that is actually saying some very disturbing words, such as the F word, right, to Floyd Shivambu, and definitely she had to come out and respond to that. Early this morning, she also, not even early this morning, later in the evening, she also took out a tweet, a very concerning tweet that we're seeing, that saying that they will expel me tomorrow. Well, it is well with my soul. Oksalayo, Floyd is useless. Hashtag we see you. That is the Duduzile there, coming out, lashing out against the party's Secretary General Floyd Shivambu there. Taking out some strong remarks that we are seeing there. And definitely, did she respond? Did she apologize? Yes, the latest, even this afternoon, we saw Duduzile coming out to respond and actually apologize to what she had said to some of the remarks that she has stated on the X handle or the X post. They're saying that this is an unconditional public apology to President Zuma and Mkhonto leadership for preferentially using my recent X post just to take hold strong and personal views, including serious concerns over internal things, my perceptions of how certain issues may be handled within the organizations. I fully recognize such that has been said and all that has been said to out there. I offer formal apologies to all the structures that I serve within the party. So definitely coming out to saying that this is some of the remarks that needs to happen. These are some of the remarks that needs to definitely take in place there. She coming out to the party's Secretary General, which causes a confusion to say, is the party finding itself at a whole lot of turmoil? Another thing that was resonating to this is glitch there to network. Okay, we are back. It says that some party members were kind of asking the question to say, those who came before have been struggling to fight to put everything together, but now we are seeing that they're coming now, new people. He's coming from the EFF, and then he has a position as the party Secretary General. A lot of members are there complaining about it and definitely looking into finalizing what is it happening there. The MK party demanding that apology that Duduzile just recently took out in order to saying that her comments were violating the party's code of conduct, and in this case thought that they were joking, but they've made it clear that either she apologizes unconditionally or she's out. Yes, her membership could be terminated if he could lose all the membership roles, but fortunately enough, she did apologize in a statement, apologizing there. As you can see, apology from Commander Duduzile Zuma-Sambudla. They're coming out, they're apologizing. Very interesting developments that we are seeing, especially that we are going to ahead of the 2026 local government elections that are coming up next year, and a lot of parties are trying to keep their houses in order and making sure that everyone makes the mark in voting. But the big question is, will Duduzile swallow her pride even though she has apologized, or we will witness another political exit in the recent memories? To keep your eyes definitely on this one. We are going to be keeping our eyes for you, keeping it sharply for you. Right, another story that has caught our attention definitely has to be a story around the AfriForum coming out this past weekend, as they were taking out a brief a brief session, their media briefing them from one political storm to another. This time it's a battle between the MK party and AfriForum. It involves none other than the former US president, or rather the current US president Donald Trump, who has taken out a lot of remarks to say that he is definitely cutting out aid to South Africa because he feels that South Africa's leaders have been doing a lot of things that are not as good, that would make them to receive the funding that they're supposed to be funding. As we all know, that he went on to definitely signing that. The MK party filed a case of treason against the AfriForum on Monday, accusing them of spreading misinformation and manipulating Trump into believing that a white genocide is taking place in South Africa. Right, as we are seeing that this is happening, the party AfriForum took it into the stand this past weekend to take out a press briefing, and in that press briefing they were looking into what are the things that some of Trump said and what are the things that they agree on, and this is some of the findings from that proceedings. Let's listen in.
About your situation, but we believe that the solution must be found in South Africa. To put on record the following. Firstly, we did not accuse the government of large-scale race-based land grabs or distribute false information in this regard. Secondly, we did not and will not ask for sanctions against South Africa or that funds for vulnerable people to be cut off by the US government. Thirdly, we explicitly, over the past 3-4 years, we explicitly asked senior US officials not to kick South Africa out of the AGOA Act because of the suffering it will cause to farmers and their workers and the work and livelihoods of workers in the motor, chemical and other industries.
Right, that is the AfriForum in the press briefing that they sent out this past weekend. According to the MK party, this is what led to cut Trump's, funding and financial aid to South Africa. They claim that AfriForum misrepresented the country's land expropriation policies and used fear tactics to push an agenda to Washington. As we all know, that there's been debates according to the land expropriation bill that has been signed by President Cyril Ramaphosa, and that was that led the president of the US, especially when it comes to us shaping and making sure that we get aiding in some parts of the country. But we'll definitely problem, keeping a close eye onto that one. Another thing that came out of this definitely has to be the MK party's leader, who is John Hlophe, coming out in a press briefing as they sent out, and this is what they had to say.
Just 19, what's the ultimate punishment? Well, treason carries the ultimate punishment, wherever it is. They must go to prison and face the consequences. They build prisons thinking they are building them for African people. They must also go and suffer. MK says
Right, definitely that is the MK leader there, John Hlophe, just reiterating some of the remarks that I've been saying, that they are complaining about this treason and saying that a complaint of treason against the AfriForum is one of the things that they are pushing, and this is one of the things. But AfriForum is not losing sleep over this. In fact, even their CEO, Kali Krauss, dismissed the charges outright, calling them absurd and also a desperate attempt to blame shift. Definitely, they are not agreeing with what Trump is doing. In the press briefing that they were, updating and briefing the media, some of the remarks, he said that the MK party is trying to distract from their own failures instead of addressing the real issues. They want to make AfriForum the scapegoat. Some of the tweets that are coming out there, and we are definitely seeing different and a lot of political shifts that we are seeing there. I wonder, what are your views and what are your thoughts? Do go onto all our social media platforms using the hashtag #TheNewsDesk at Television 360 for more on that story. Right, another story that we are keeping in track for you has to be going into the Parliament of South Africa. As you all know, that the Parliament of South Africa, the Portfolio Committee, was sitting down today to making sure that they were listening to some parts of the chair sitting there in in the portfolio committee of defense and not defense rather of justice and correctional services, as they were demanding answers on the Thabo Bester's prison break scandal. It's been 2 years since one of South Africa's most notorious prison break, yet Thabo Bester saga continues. As we all know, that Thabo Bester saga was one of the sagas that we saw breaking out a few years ago, where we saw that he faked his own death by escaping from the prison shafts there, and the portfolio committee was actually listening to some of the probes that were there, that were taken out there, and definitely as they were listening in there, the portfolio committee on correctional services held a heated briefing with the Department of Correctional Services, demanding those answers of action to fix security failures within the Bester Hollywood style saga and also other correctional services, especially the Mangaung Correctional Service. The department has been under intense scrutiny ever since it has revealed that Bester faked his own death, walked out of prison and lived a luxurious life in Johannesburg while the authorities were clueless. So they were trying to also probe them, and also the general of the commissioner rather of the correctional services was there with the team, briefing out the command there and the council there, the committee there, just to brief them on other extended measures that they've done, other measures of security that they've put in place. And also the Deputy Minister of Justice and Correctional Services has also reiterated the fact that they have also complied to certain things that they were supposed to do in terms of security. They've complied to other measures that were supposed to be taking place in terms of making sure that the facilities, the guards that are there are well managed, the guards that are there are able to listen through, and making sure that there are better security covered within the prison there in Mangaung. She also reiterated the fact that they are doing as much as they could do to make sure that they keep the prison safe and they keep everything in check, especially when it comes there to the prison. I was listening to some of a clip there by Mendy Wiener on the Midday Report, and they were talking about what the parliament was actually listening into, to making sure that this policy and this parliament listening. And one of the reporters there from EWN has to say,
first meeting of the committee of the year, Thabo Bester's escape, first issue on the table for the committee in 2025. Matter is in sector. Now, the perpetrator's findings pointed to delays by the department in responding to that escape, and which also, prompted several remedial actions directed at the department's leadership, as well as how it deals with or manages, correctional facilities, even the privately.
All right. That is the reporter there from EWN, just reiterating why the committee had to sit down about this Thabo Bester. Yes, I know that it's something that is still ongoing, and we're still trying to find ways that this saga does not happen again in South Africa. Yes, is it too little, too late? You might think. I don't know. What are your thoughts around it? Please make sure that you go on through all our social media platforms using the hashtag #TheNewsDesk, and also going through all our social media platforms at Television 360 to find out, to give your thought of view and your perspective on this story. Many South Africans are wondering if this so-called action plans will actually lead to change, or if we are just being fed empty promises again, because, let's be honest about it. We find ourselves in measures where certain things are not done, certain measures are not put in place for us to push forward the terms and conditions that we want to see for ourselves. So definitely, a lot of, people are questioning what is happening within our security. Are we safe as a country, especially with our prisons? Are the inmates there, prison. One of the parliamentary member asked a question to say that how did a maximum security prison allow an inmate to literally burn a body, swap identities, and just walk out? And some of them couldn't actually, answer it correctly, but that some departmental officials said we acknowledge a serious failure in the security protocols and we are working on measures to ensure that this never happens again. So they are making sure that this never happens again and we never find ourselves in such a predicament where we are seeing the Thabo Bester story, rushing up and, seeing it happen again, even in the parts of our country. We want to make sure that our prisons are safe and everyone who is there are being protected and no one can escape, because I can imagine how many are thinking of doing that and how many are already studying some of these facilities and one of the purchins that are happening. And this committee was for us to try to make sure that this saga does not happen again. Another thing that has been happening in Parliament today has to definitely be the SONA 2025 debate. Many political parties have come out to kind of share their responses to the SONA debate. As we all know, President Cyril Ramaphosa stood out to address the country last week Thursday on the plans of the Government of National Unity, on how they are planning to set out goals and set out the view plan for 2025 as we are preparing ourselves even ahead of the 2026 local government election. A whole lot of things that he also stated out in terms of making sure that there is employment for the youth and other strategies such as water and sanitation being affordable and available to many parts of the countries, which is some of the things that he has stated out. And a lot of political parties took it to the stand today to definitely give out their shot onto what Mr. President had to say on the State of the Nation address that he took out last week Thursday. But on Thursday's discussion, we are going to be joined by the CEO of Project Youth SA, which advocates for young people, and we are going to be getting some reaction on what exactly the SONA 2025 means for young people and how can we definitely push ourselves and carry ourselves into making sure that as young people, we are still motivated and still being accounted for by the leadership and the government of South Africa. You do not want to miss that conversation that is going to be coming up a little bit later on, right? These are the three massive stories that we have been tracking for you. I wonder what has caught your attention and which story that has caught your attention, right? That you want to share your viewpoint. Go onto all our social media platforms using the hashtag #TheNewsDesk and you can find us at Television 360, right? Let me bring you the poll question that we are asking you. As I did mention that today it is Internet Safety Day, and definitely when it is Internet Safety Day, it is also all about internet safety, right? So we are definitely going to be looking into what it is all about and what is it. And this year's theme is empowering and a secure digital future. Our world becomes increasingly a digital cyber threat such as hacking, identity theft, misinformation, bullying, and online scams continue to be on the rise. Whether you are a student or you are just an ordinary person just using the internet, and you are at risk of all this. And this campaign aims to make sure that we are safe and we are promoting more responsible and more digital use, right? I know we were supposed to be having a conversation with a Blessing Lekara from Digify Africa, but unfortunately due to some unforeseen circumstances, we won't be having that conversation today, but we'll be definitely bringing you that conversation again. As I did mention that I'm bringing you that whole question that we are asking you across all our social media platforms, which is, do you think we can create a safer internet for everyone? How can we create that internet safety for everyone? You had 4 options then. 1 is a stronger online privacy laws. 2, a more digital literacy education. 3, stricter media regulations and personal responsibility and awareness is the 4th option there. However you view it, make sure that you go through all our social media platforms. You can also go onto our stories and make sure that you do weigh in on that conversation. And I'll be bringing you those results just before we wrap up today's conversation, we just want to find out how can we make it safer, because we know that a lot of hacking has happened, a lot of phishing, scamming, that happens a lot, and people need to make sure that they keep themselves in check. One of the safety tips that I know of has to be definitely being that the password does not have to be something that is related to you, such as your name, your ID number, your date of birth, or anything. It has to be a password that is more than 8 characters long, where you can use symbols, characters, and numbers, not just only words. So there are other ways that you can find to making sure that you are safe on the online space, and you keeping yourself online under all the preferences that we are tracking for you, and we are keeping in check for you right here on television, where we inform, impact, and inspire you. Right, that's the whole question. Do you engage with it? I'll be bringing you that conversation, and definitely bringing you that whole results and view thoughts, point of views that you have around this whole Internet Day of Safety right here on television, where we inform, impact, and inspire you. Plenty on the go for you this evening. As I did mention earlier on, that we'll be bringing you a conversation around CANSA in 2025, and I'm going to be joined by the head of marketing and communication from CANSA South Africa, as we try to ask the question and discuss around cancer awareness in 2025. Are we really making progress, right? And especially as we are fighting this disease, are we making progress? Is there what is the current stats of what is happening right now, and how can we make sure that we ourselves as individuals play a significant role in making sure that we protect ourselves and we advocate and keep ourselves afresh? We are going to be having that conversation with Lucy just in a short while. You do want to stick around for that conversation as we talk all things that is Cancer South Africa. How do we protect ourselves? How do we keep ourselves in check? How do we most importantly get ourselves involved? Because a lot of us, we think that because of I'm not the one who has this disease, I'm not affected. But there's a whole lot of areas and spectrums that we need to how we can contribute and participate as individuals and as South Africans to making sure that we fight the good fight when it comes to cancer in South Africa. I'll be bringing you that conversation in a short while as we step into the lead. Let me try to as I did mention that tonight we are having an important conversation. This conversation is about a disease that has touched many lives. I mean, cancer, we've seen it, that it has affected many people, and many people have succumbed to it, and some are going through that right even today. And we all know that February becomes the month where World Cancer Day is commemorated on the 4th of February, and we are seeing that some of instances that we as individuals, how can we participate? And today we want to take that closer look into where do we stand in 2025, and what's the fight against cancer, and what progress has been made, and most importantly, what can we all do? Because there is something that we need to all do. There are things that we all need to participate into making sure that we help fight this good fight that is cancer, and how we can protect ourselves and support those who are affected. I'm trying to allow Lucy to join into the conversation, as she is the head of marketing and communication at CANSA South Africa, which is the Cancer Association of South Africa, as she is going to tell us where we at right now, and definitely how we can keep on fighting this good fight, and how can we as individuals make sure that we participate. And I see Lucy is here. Lucy, good evening and welcome to the News Desk.
Hello. Great to be here.
Thank you so much for coming in. It is one of the most heartfelt topic, and something that is affecting a lot of people. And definitely we want to first start here. What is the overview? Where are we standing in 2025? I mean, what's the latest stats when it comes to cancer in South Africa?
Well, thank you for allowing me to join. It is always a pleasure to be on the show and to educate and talk about cancer because it affects so many of us. And, nowadays, if you look at the stats, about 115,000 to 120,000 people are being diagnosed that we know of, that have been reported. But there's still a lot of underreporting. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of people that have not reported they have cancer or don't even know they have cancer. And, we've seen the stats in a lot of the studies that show by 2030, it's going to double. So there's going to be a lot more people that will be having cancer, and therefore, as the Cancer Association of South Africa, we play such an important role in making sure that we are there to support them. If I look at the top 5 cancers, I just quickly reminded myself, it's 1 in 6 for men, and 1 in 8 for women that could be affected by cancer. And it doesn't matter what age you are, what your economic background is, it doesn't matter your race, how old or young you are, any one of us can be affected. So the top 5 cancers with men is prostate, very much leading cancer amongst men, and colorectal, and then melanoma, and then for the ladies it's breast, cervical, and then colorectal. So colorectal's in the top 5. So that just gives you a sort of a glimpse of what's happening. And then the sad part is that, whenever you have been diagnosed, cancer it's a difficult disease to treat, and it's expensive. And in South Africa, we know there's 20% of us have got medical aid, and 80% of the population don't have. So, and we've got a public health system that really needs help. We know how that works. So, unfortunately, and that just gives you a bit of a summary.
And how are we compared to the rest of the world globally as South Africa in terms of fighting this good fight? Because there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation that goes around globally, and some people are, as you're saying, that others don't even know that they are being affected by this.
I think we've made some progress, but we are viewed as a low to middle income country, and I don't think we're doing enough. Too many of us are not aware of cancer. That's, cancer, the disease. And that's why we play such an important role about education, constantly educating, and also getting people to share their stories. So many times you'll hear of somebody who has been diagnosed and they haven't shared their story, but once they do, they find out they're not alone, and that they had these symptoms, and that they could have gone to somebody. So we compare, we just, from a South African point of view, we're not doing enough. And we, compared to other countries, we could definitely have more investment, certainly more investment from our government, from more private partnerships. We are always looking for partners to assist us because we need to reach so many more people. And, it's not, again, I just want to remind people, it's not just older people that are getting cancer. We can see younger people. So it's so important that we do our best.
Definitely, we definitely need to do our best. But now, Lucy, how do we do our best now as individuals? Because we are seeing that yes, there are symptoms, there's a lot of things, but how can we reduce these chances of us being getting cancer, and making sure that we reduce it to a low?
Okay, so that's a very good question. What's very important is we can educate to lower the risk. So things you can do as us as individual is lead a balanced lifestyle. And by that, I mean, you take practical steps. So for example, doing exercise, making sure you do some sort of physical movement, even going for a walk every day. I enjoy running, so I find that's what keeps me going, and I enjoy going to do a bit of yoga at the gym. Things like making sure you're eating good, healthy food, making sure that you've got, when you have your plate, make sure that half of it's filled with veggies, those good things, and pulses. There are always so many, you need good nutrition. Making sure you're drinking safe, clean water every day. And most important is go for screening, and go for cancer screening. It's almost like when you've got a car, you take your car for a service, right? You make sure you check out your car. So your body is your car. And I think that's so important, is that we forget sometimes. And you also know know things that are not normal. You know if there's, I mean, sometimes you see this little lump or a bump and you think, oh, I don't have time to check it out because I'm so busy. But it's actually so important. You need to go and check it out because early detection is key. So that's part of what we can do to lower the cancer risk, is by constantly educating and also warning people of risk. So for things that are the non-negotiables, things you shouldn't be doing, is definitely smoking and using tobacco products. We know that that definitely causes cancer and bad for the lungs. And things like alcohol. Alcohol is actually been linked to about 11 types, causing 11 types of cancer. So, and a lot of people don't know that. And in South Africa, we tend to drink, there's a lot of binge drinking, as they call it, drinking lots of alcohol in one go. So yeah, those kind of things, there's a strong link, alcohol, and of course not using tobacco, and then staying out the sun, being careful in the sun, because we still need vitamin D. So you can be safe in the sun and using a good sunscreen. You know, the Cancer Association of South Africa, we have what we call sun-approved sunscreens, and you know that it's a good one. It's been checked out. It's been checked out by the experts. It's got UVA, UVB, and it'll protect you. And often there's even foods. We've got foods as well, things like wheat picks and pulses. Those are all good things to eat because they've been approved and qualified as a cancer seal. We call it a cancer smart choice. So those are things that you can do to lower the cancer risk, or what we say is try not to get cancer. And I think it's important, regular checkups, very important, making sure you're going for your checkups.
It's an everyday life thing, you know, it's a lifestyle that you need to keep because, you know, even if it's not just cancer, but we all definitely need to keep ourselves healthy and in check all the time. Now, what happens now I'm diagnosed, right? What is it that I need to do? What type of counseling and emotional support that I can get, and the role that it plays in me getting myself better and making sure that, you know, I keep myself motivated even in this journey.
I'm glad you asked. So we often talk about not getting cancer, and then people do get. So I can imagine it can be quite traumatic, and it has an impact on the person, it has an impact on the family. And we want people to know they're not alone. So we're very conscious that there are a lot of people that can't afford private healthcare. So we work very closely and collaborate with the Department of Health and other places and say, when somebody's been diagnosed, we want to know and how we can help them. So how we assist is we have what we call information and support desks at many of the public hospitals, where we set up a desk and we have staff and volunteers working together, and they give information. And there's a lot of, you know, we call it navigation. So how do you help that patient or that person? Once they've been diagnosed, they get there, they don't know where to go to. So we help them through the process. We teach them about the importance of keeping a file, knowing your file number and all the information. And then we have an excellent advocacy department. Our head of advocacy, Zodwa, she does incredible work when people phone and they're really struggling with getting access to treatment. So, you know, you can report it via our website or our help desk, and then she gets in touch and she assists them through collaborating. And then, of course, if you are fortunate to have medical care, no matter what, even if you don't have, one of the most important common threads is that we all need support. We all need to know we're not alone, that we have support. So what we do is that we offer free telecounseling, and we do this in 7 languages, because you also want to be able to speak to somebody in a language where you feel heard and you can explain. And often it can be quite scary. You could be a mother of a child, so it's to explain to the child, you know, to help the mother cope. So we offer free counseling. We even have a lot of online support groups. Amazingly, on Facebook, a lot of our survivors, you can join there. And we have WhatsApp support groups. Incredible how WhatsApp and cell phones are becoming such an amazing tool to support somebody. And we run all these WhatsApp groups through our service teams, and many of our survivors become leader volunteers, and they become trained and become counselors as well. So I think one of the most important things is, you may be diagnosed, you've now got cancer, just know that you're not alone and you can reach out to us. And know that there is support there. You know, there's also the other ways that we assist is through our cancer care homes. So we've got these cancer care homes nationally around the country, except in Mpumalanga and Northern Cape. And what we do is, while you're getting radiation, you can stay at the care home for the period of irradiation, and then we transport you to and from the hospital. We provide the meals, some counseling, some support. It's an incredible service that these care homes provide. It's another way that we are helping, because a lot of times this is the only home that the patient can get to and stay at, because they live so far away from the public hospital. And those are just some of the ways that we can support those that have just been diagnosed.
Yeah, a lot of interesting work that you guys are doing there. I can imagine that, no one wants to be alone at such a time. There definitely needs to be, support and people who are there who understand what you're actually going through and helping you throughout the journey. To those who are tuning in, this is a platform for you. You can ask any question. Lucy is here to answer all the questions that you may have upon, cancer, even in 2025. Last week, Lucy, it was World Cancer Day, right? Can you tell us more about what was the theme of the year and what were some of, the approaches for the year in terms of, trying to combat cancer?
It's an important day for us because we get to highlight cancer, the disease. And each year, so the World Cancer Day is run by the Union for Cancer Control, and it's a global body of which we are all members of. And they decide on a theme every 3 years. And it was such a powerful theme that they came out with this year. It was about United by Unique. We're all united in the fight against cancer, but we all have a unique story to tell. You might be living in Soweto, and you could have a different experience of the person that's living in Fourways or Sandton, or the person that's living in Mitchell's Plain, or the person that's living in Springbok. Everybody's got this unique experience of what it's like to have cancer, the disease. You could be, how does it affect you at work? So it was such an important thing, because it's all about how can you share your story, but how can you be viewed as the person instead of just the disease? So treating the person often and all those associated things around it, as opposed to just treating cancer, the disease. So for us, that's exciting. And also part of that was also to get people to share their stories. Now, it sounds, okay, just share a story. For somebody who's been diagnosed, it can be a very private, personal experience for them. And to share maybe about your child, you could be sharing about your family member, your loved one. And to share stories is so powerful because you could be inspiring somebody else. So we encourage people to share their story, because if you hear, and often you've seen in a lot of rural, poor resource communities, there's a lot of myths, a lot of miscommunication about cancer, the disease, where they don't know. And there's a lot of education that, and if you hear somebody or see somebody that is sharing their story, it's a way of actually inspiring them, a way of saying, hey, you know what, I've also got that mole. I've also got that spot, so I'm going to go get it checked out. So I think that was such an important thing. It's also it was a great day for us to also provide screening, and it's ongoing. In fact, if people visit our website, we are providing free screening at many of our cancer care centers and at many communities. So if you go to our website, on the homepage, you'll see this big button that says World Cancer Day events. You can actually please take advantage of that. Sign up and go to one of those venues, and you can get checked out. So for the women, you can, there's clinical breast exams for detection of lumps for breast cancer, and then there's also the pap smears for ladies. It's about, detection of cervical cancer, which is very high amongst women in South Africa, second highest to breast cancer. And then there's also PSA tests. So not every event will have all of the tests, but they will have most. And we do the basics. We'll do the blood pressure. There's also the lifestyle risk assessment. It's looking at what sort of, just a general lifestyle questionnaire to help you to know how you can lower the cancer risk. So for us, it's quite exciting, World Cancer Day. And of course, as you know, we've got a whole calendar for the whole year of so many events that take place, so many days where we have to highlight certain cancers. So in fact, the 15th of February is International Childhood Cancer Day, and we highlight the cancers where children are being, the cancers that affect children. And we're talking about the importance of making sure that children understand about they going for regular checkups or going for their treatment. Often it's a child that has to depend on an adult or a guardian to take them. And if they don't have that, then, the progression or the treatment cannot be successful. So we're talking about, we're having those kind of chats, and also sharing what our Cancer TLC program is all about, which is our children's program where we assist children and families affected by cancer.
I love the fact that also children are involved, you know, in a sense that a lot of young people are looking at cancer as such a very distant thing, to say, no, it's only for older people and all that. But Lucy, how can we as young people also get involved and also raise the awareness and also, you know, support those who are being affected?
Yes, we'd love people to get involved, and especially young people. You know, I remember when I was younger, I thought I was invincible. I thought I was going to live forever and do these amazing things.
You
And,
know.
you do, you think you're bulletproof. So I think you have to, and we only you need shock value. Sometimes you have to say, hey, you know, it's almost like you didn't want to listen, but as you get older, you get smarter. And I do think there's such a big space for young people. We welcome young people. We want them to come and volunteer. We have wonderful programs. So, for example, we have Cancer Shave-a-thon. One of my favorites, it is where people go and shave and spray their hair. And you're doing it to show support for somebody who has cancer, because one of the side effects of the treatment of the chemotherapy or radiation is you often lose your hair. So people want to show support. It is one of the most amazing fundraising and wonderful experiences that we've offered. We've been doing it for over 20 years. And I've often had to shave people's hair. And in fact, I know we've got Kirsty. Kirsty's one of my runners from my Team Vitality group, and she's actually grown her hair. She last cut her hair in COVID in 2019, and she's going to be cutting her hair this year with a whole lot of other women who have agreed to show support for other survivors. So we need volunteers. Come and we teach you how to shave and spray. It is one of the most fun things you can do at an event. We teach you how to spray, we teach you how to shave, we teach you how to do registration, dealing with people. So we need lots of hands, we need lots of volunteers helping us with the database, all sorts of things. In fact, what is also one of the things we really look for is people that can help us with social media. Young people are just so good at it, and it's intuitive for them. They're quite good. So we'd love to teach young people, get involved. They do our social media training course. We've got a 101 course about cancer. You have to go through that training course first. It's very quick, it's online, but then we teach you, and we're looking for lots of social media young volunteers to join us, and then they can help us, especially the regions. We've got such a small team at head office, and we need people out there. So they can come and join us. They can we teach them how to post, how to share, and you know what, often they're teaching us. We've got TikTok, so learning about TikTok, how to do videos, and also how to connect with young people. You've got this whole big different generations, and cancer's bridging across all those gaps. The disease is affecting us all our generations. So we want to be there for them. So we like young people to get involved because they're teaching us and how to communicate, and we're teaching them. And there's also Cancer Relay for Life is another great project. It's another fundraiser where people go and they pitch their tent at night. You enter a team, and you go and you walk and you enter and you register, and they have a survivor's lap, and then you have a caregiver's lap. It's another big fun campaign, and we need people to do social media there too. We've got Cancer Active. You might be very sporty. You could be cycling, you could be running, you could be swimming, you could be doing something wild like parachuting or dancing, and you doing something and you raising funds or doing videos for us. It's another way of what we call enhancing the brand and letting your followers and your audiences know cancer, the disease exists, and how we can support you. And then, of course, if you are passionate about patient care, you're passionate about service. So you might want to be involved and say, I would like to help and be there for the patients. So therefore, I want to get involved in patient care. So we train you and we say, right, you can get involved in patient care, you do a course. Or another one where we need volunteers is our information support desks at those public hospitals. Such a valuable role that volunteers can play. So, we need every volunteer. You're building up your CV, you're getting experience, and who knows, some incredible people get involved with us. So yes, we welcome all young people to get involved.
Yeah, all young people definitely need to be involved. And I love the fact that you've been saying that you actually learning certain things from young people. It goes to show that, they're the future, and if ever they're not equipped with this, I wonder what the future of such foundations like the incredible work that you guys are doing, where they stand, if young people are not involved even now. Let's wrap up the conversation, Lucy. We can go on and talking about this because there's a whole lot to talk about and informing people about CANSA. But what would be the one key message that you would love people to take out of today's conversation?
I think very important, early detection is key. If you see something strange in your body or you think there's something not right health-wise, get it checked out. The earlier the detected, the better and more successful the treatment is. You are not alone. If you, for any reason, get diagnosed, you are here, turn to the Cancer Association. We're here to help you. And thirdly, get involved. Just get involved. We've seen in South Africa, we have to get involved in our community. So whether you're young or old, we welcome volunteers. We welcome you to come to our events. Follow us on social media where you can see all and keep up with all the news and events of what's happening. There's lots of opportunities. So, and of course, for us, one of the most important things is we always need regular financial donations. So if there's any way you can donate, because that keeps us going. That keeps our care and support programs going. It pays for our nurses, our social workers, all those important roles that are supporting people that are diagnosed.
Yeah, indeed. We need to make sure that we get ourselves informed and also importantly get involved. Lucy, thank you so much for your time. And again, as you did mention that you have a whole list of calendar with events and stuff. So we'll be seeing you mostly here and just helping us make sense of it all.
Thank you for the opportunity and look forward to the next time. Thank you.
So
Bye.
much. Bye. That is Lucy there, who is the head of marketing and communications at CANSA South Africa. Just, helping us try to make sense of where do we stand when it comes to CANSA even in 2025, right? There is a whole lot of the show for you just in short while. I'm going to be joined in by our sports and wellness editor, Kgothatso Mashau, as we give you a wrap up of the week and the day's sporting headlines and everything that you need to find out more. I'm just trying to see if he is here. He's definitely here. Kgothatso Mashau is standing by to give us the very latest in the world of sports. Let's get into tonight's edition of the Sports Desk. I'm trying to get a hold of him. I see that he is there. Kgothatso, good evening and welcome to the News Desk. It's always a pleasure. It is always interesting to find out what has been happening when it comes to the world of sports. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Kagiso. How are you?
I'm good. I love the fact that I know when it comes to this time of the show that, the energy just gets all hyped up.
you know, I'm here.
All right, so let's get straight into it because there's a lot that has been happening. We had a weekend packed with action from football heartbreaks to devastating battles and some interesting such as the FA Cup fixtures. Let's get started. What is the first big story that you're tracking for us?
Hey, Kagiso, the big story is our boys, the Buccaneers, man. Orlando Pirates are in deep waters. Let me just say, Orlando Pirates is in deep ocean right now. They're at the bottom of the ocean. As Mamelodi Sundowns didn't just beat them, they demolished them. A 4-1 defeat on Saturday at Lufthansa and through the Premier Soccer League. But what's even more concerning is the ongoing drama around Monapule Salenye, because Pirates could be losing one of their best attacking players soon.
A whole interesting developments. I saw a lot of Pirates fans were very devastated about this loss, and a lot of people would ask themselves, so what were you anticipating? But let's talk about that game, a 4-1-0 clashing by Sundowns. This was supposed to be a test of their title credentials, and instead it turned out to be a reality check. What went wrong for Pirates?
What went wrong? Honestly, everything went wrong. So Pirates started off decent, as we saw the game. They started off decent, but once Sundowns found their rhythm, it was a game over for them. You know, the Buccaneers couldn't keep up with the Sundowns. You know, like the Sundowns fell fast transaction. You know, their defense was all over the place, and by the halftime, it was clear that Rulani Mukwena men were just levels ahead, you know, and the biggest shock, Saleng not making the impact we expected. Because like when you talk, like one thing I've realized is we ignore that Sundowns, they play soccer, you know, unlike Pirates, they play soccer, you know, they invest in soccer. You know, if you see things Sundowns they're doing undercover where no one is seeing them, you'll be shocked with the soccer they learning. They're not just learning African soccer,